right, Steve, man. Thanks for joining the podcast today, man. Before we get into it, man, again, I just want to say thanks for your time. The guys out there, I always do this kind of when I first get guys in there for the first time podcast. Just go ahead, man. Just a little about yourself, where you're from, how you got into this time wasting hobby lifestyle we call cars, and we can go from there, man.
Okay, well, my name's Steve. I live in Southern California. I work in the movie business. I make a living as a stuntman. And I don't believe this time-wasting hobby is a time-wasting hobby at all. I believe this is a life-transforming an event that brings joy and along with many other emotions, by the way, like frustration as well.
Yeah.
But so many wonderful emotions that helps people grow and become better at being their best self. I actually consider myself a beginner when it comes to cars. I was very sheltered when I was younger. When I was a kid, I didn't even know what a manual transmission was until I was in high school. And it was my wife who said, "We're in the middle of a pandemic. Let's go buy a muscle car." And I said, "Are you crazy? Right now, there's no movie shooting. There's no television right now." And she goes, "Let's buy a muscle car." And I'm like, "Well,
yeah,
all right, I guess that's what we're doing."
Yeah.
So,
hey, that's a keeper right there, man. You definitely got to keep her forever, man. So like that's awesome, man. The Corona stuff has definitely been affecting everything. Myself here running a business here in Japan, and performance being what I do, and having part delays and things like that. It's kind of hard to push to some customers because they believe that some shops are pushing bad stuff. But anyway, that's besides the fact. Anyway, man, I like the way that you contacted me and the way that you're pushing your channel, man. And I see the growth and everything, and it's really cool, man. So just going back a little bit, man. Again, I've seen that you played sports, you did the movie stuff. How did you get into Hollywood? How did you get into pretty much that lifestyle, man? How did that start for you, man?
Okay, well, Hollywood was always the backup career, and they always say if you go to Hollywood, have a backup career. But the first career was baseball. I wanted to play professional baseball, and that was my first life's work right there. I dedicated the 5 years of my life to playing baseball. Now, you're in Japan, correct?
Yes, sir.
So my favorite Japanese team are the Chunichi Dragons. Just got to put that out there.
Yeah. I don't even know who they are, man.
Okay, that's all right. Well, they're just one of the major teams in the Japanese baseball league. Nevertheless, so that was my first life's work. And when I retired from baseball, after playing a small bit of professional baseball, and I wanted to be in the movie business, and so moved back to LA and found my niche into the business and started working my way up. But what I found was the people who were doing stunts were the only people who were having fun and enjoying their lives. So I became stuntman and never looked back. And here I am in my 10th year of being a full-time stuntman, hitting the ground hard. And the hardest time is in between jobs.
Yeah.
So.
No doubt. So for that, man, because I got a lot of guys all my guys are action-packed guys. One of my guys did a few little stunts in a few indie films and things like that. And one of my guys actually I had on about maybe 30 podcasts ago is actually the reason why I got 7 bikes now, and I didn't have any bikes before this guy. He's a stunt guy. He got hurt. He was filming for Bad Boys, and he was doing an endo with a side-by-side Harley. The Harley fell on his leg, and it ended his career before it started. It was his first movie. But how does the guy go about becoming a stuntman? You just sign an application, you go on a set. How does that happen, man?
Oh, it's none of those.
Yeah.
Well, everything in life is about who you know or who knows you.
Yeah.
And if you don't know them, you got to find a way for them to get to know you.
Yeah.
So I spent the first several years of my career finding a way onto any movie and television set that I could, doing whatever work I could, with the intent to let the stunt coordinator know that this is what I'm really trying to do with my life. And had to get to know each and every stunt coordinator in Los Angeles the best that I could, and get my picture in front of them, and then eventually get in front of them and get them to see. Just 1 second.
You're good. You're good.
There first.
You're good.
Yeah. Just they had to get to know me and trust that I could do what they asked for, and then when the opportunity comes up, be available, do a quality job, and hit your mark. And if you need to do it again, and do it better. So that's what I've been doing, and I'm thankful to be able to do that. And making these car videos just was never meant to be an extension of that.
Right.
I'm a storyteller at heart. That's kind of the reason why I wanted to be involved with making movies. And when there was no work, I went and just started throwing cameras on the car. And next thing I know, I'm like, well, I got to do more than just keep driving in a straight line.
Yeah.
And but who can I get together with and drive with? And naturally, it kind of led into, hey, let's get to know this person. Let's know the car. And next thing I know, I've got a little concept here that seems to be working. And now I'm racing muscle cars and telling stories and creating memories. And the whole point, Donald, the whole point of what I'm really trying to do is spread the joy that the car culture has given me, and share my love for these classic pieces of machinery. And really, I love the feeling of going back in time.
Yeah.
And when you get two muscle cars from the 60s or 70s and put them side by side that are not resto mods, but, you know, modified, but in the vein of the original, you can feel what it's like to be in the 60s or 70s again. And that, to me, is a special thing that most people don't get to do with their lives.
Indeed. You brought up an interesting fact right there. Resto mods. Some guys there who don't know, resto mods are pretty much taking I'm talking to the general guys there. Resto mods is taking the older cars and kind of making them more modern. Like guys like Joe Rogan, you see out there, got like the older cars with everything underneath being like, you know, modern. Is that your preference to have it original, or do you have anything against resto mods, or what's your opinion on that?
There's a time and a place for everything. I personally like things to be slightly modified in the vein of original. I like things to be improved, but not so that it doesn't feel different than the way it felt.
Right.
I don't want to take the body of a Camaro and put in 1,000 horsepower engine, and in a modern transmission, and because that to me, it's like that I'm not really driving a Camaro.
Right.
I'm
right.
a of a Camaro, but am I really experiencing what a Camaro is if you do that to it? That being said, if you're going to do that with a car and you get a car that, if you were to get like what was once a V6 Camaro that's not really a popular car that's worth that much anymore, and you want to do something to it, mod it out, and put some monster engine in there, well, then by all means. But I wouldn't take the car that was born with a big block engine and then make something completely different out of it.
Yeah, no doubt. And a little bit, because we got to talk car specs a little bit, man. Can you tell what's the specs on your Camaro behind you a little bit? Just the basics, man. How is it built, and what kind of power does it have?
All right, well, let me give you a little bit better view. There she is.
SS, man.
I was blocking the picture the whole time, right?
Yeah. It looks good, man.
All right. So actually, that's kind of cool. Just be like there. So this car is a 1967 Camaro. It is the first year that the Camaros were made was 1967. So this is a true first year car. Now they had several different engine options that you could order or select when you went into the dealership and bought one of these. This car was originally born with a big block 396 engine, which means that it was the biggest engine available at the time. That being said, there were two versions of the big block. There was the 396 with 325 horsepower and the 396 with 375 horsepower. This one was born with the 325 horsepower. So it's a true super sport big block. Now, the car has a replacement engine in it that's been rebuilt, and the replacement engine is a 396 engine, but it's from 1970. So it's period correct mostly, but 1970 was the first year of the second gen Camaros. And in 1970, they kept the 396 moniker, but it really was actually 402 cubic inches. So it's a 396 restored with a 396 engine, and the 1970 engine actually has 350 horsepower. So I get a little extra horses in it. It has the hideaway headlights. This one was actually not born with the hideaway headlights. I can't understand why anybody would choose to not have the hideaway headlights.
It's the signature, man. It looks great, man.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, it's like it wants to like swallow you. It's like a whale.
Yeah.
And when they open, man, they make this cool sound, and they're like, yeah. So this car was not born with the hideaway headlights. Those come with the RS package, but that was added on when this car was restored. So this is now a 1967 RS SS 396. When it was born, it was just an SS 396. It was actually had a beige vinyl top originally, and it had parchment white interior, and it was an automatic transmission. And now it doesn't have the beige vinyl top. It has a black interior, and it has a 4-speed manual transmission. It's got a 4-speed 1-seat. So when I talk about modified, yeah, it's actually not like it was when it was born, but it's not like it could have been that way.
Right. It was one of guys, there's no worse feeling than being on the track with a new car you just bought from somebody and you go to mash on it and the clutch slips. I've been there before. You've probably been there yourself multiple times. And the best thing to do is get a new clutch on the car. Also, if you're competing, there's no doubt about it. You got to have a clutch. Pinku Style is a sponsor and a dealer of EDL clutch. Check out the website, pinkustylestore.com. Check out what I have available. RBs, JZSRs, KAB series engines, BMW, LS swaps, all that stuff like that. So it's a good clutch. I'm going to be running some deals on it pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. And check them out, EDL clutches on pinkustylestore.com. Being in motorsports, tires are critical. Tires keep your cars glued to the ground. It's the only four contact patches you have if you got a car with 4 wheels on it to the ground and everything right here. So guys that ever know I'm a dealer for Federal Tires. You can hit me up anytime here in Japan. Guys who are in the States, we'll work on getting you guys some sources over there. But here in Japan, I'm a good source of Federal Tires. Delivered within 24 to 48 hours and everything. This right here is a Federal 595 Pro RSR. I've used these a lot on my drift cars, my time attack cars, and even my daily cars and everything. So gonna have a good tire out there. Federal's a good reputable company I've used for many years, well over 10 years. Out the store, pinkustylestore.com, to see the listings. If you got any questions on tires, hit me up at download.pinkustyle.com. We can get them ordered and I'll get you some advice on tires today. So thank you guys for that. And that's awesome, man. Like that's when the biggest thing for most guys there. I'm 38 years old, so I unfortunately got into cars and like actively in 99. It was like a year before the whole Fast and Furious thing. And then of course, Fast and Furious 2 came out, and one of the stars of the beginning of the video towards the end was the blue Camaro that was there. And a lot of guys,
Yenko.
Yeah, the Yenko. So the Yenko, if you could speak, because you definitely a Camaro guy, man. The Yenko is it a special version of something, or is it a specific trim, or what's the difference between a Yenko and the one you have there?
So my understanding is Yenko was a dealership.
Okay.
And Yenko was they had a direct line to Chevrolet.
Gotcha.
And they were modifying these cars by putting in special orders for higher engines.
Gotcha.
that weren't available to anybody else. So my understanding is if you went to the Yenko dealership, you could get a 427 in your Camaro when they weren't available for anybody else. And so they were rare because there was only a few places where you could get a brand new Camaro with even more upgrades than everyone else. That's my interpretation or understanding.
Gotcha.
Now, I'm not claiming to be historically accurate because I love history, but I'm not the most versed person in history on this. But I hope I'm right because I don't want to be a moron.
That's all good, man. We talk freely here, man. That's a lot of guys. I've been doing this 25 years now. It's hard to believe. From being a noob in a parking lot with open diffs, trying to impress older guys to now having all these cars in the shop in Japan. So time flies, man. So again, we kind of hit it off talking about the movie thing and everything, and your Hollywood deal. What's some of the titles and things that you performed in? I've seen your actors reel and your stunt reel. But can you tell us some of the fans or the guys watching and listening? What's some of the things you played in or was a stunt guy for in Hollywood?
Okay, well, in Los Angeles, it's mostly television.
Gotcha.
So I do mostly TV shows for a living. That's not to say I don't do movies. I've done plenty of them. But if you want to talk movies, because that's what people usually ask me,
right.
I've done stunts on Bumblebee, which was the last Transformers movie, on Kong Skull Island, The Wedding Ringer, let's see, The Internship. I lose track.
That's an awesome thing, man.
I've done like 200 different shows over the course of my 10 years so far. Yeah. The TV, I tend to make my bread and butter is NCIS Los Angeles.
Gotcha.
I've done all the NCISs, including the new one, NCIS Hawaii. A lot of the HBO shows, True Blood.
Man, that's why it took.
Title at me. There's a chance.
That's why it took so long. It not took a long because I think you messaged me about maybe 5 months ago, and you were like, hey man, I got this window, and that's, I don't get into like people's business right away, and or pretty much at all, man, and so that's why you're pretty much involved in all that stuff, man. That's awesome. As far as what's the parallel, the dynamic between the stunt coordinators, performers, and actors? Are you guys like on different? Well, I guess you work in the same art, but you shoot differently than actors, or are you doing different things? How's that work? If you could talk about that.
Okay, so here's what I do as a stuntman. I either double, or I play a part, or I'll coordinate. I'll be a stunt coordinator.
Right.
So if I'm doubling, it's, everybody knows what a stunt double is. And so, every actor out there that claims they do all their own stunts, well, they don't.
Yeah. Well, it's probably except for maybe Jackie Chan was like the one. Did Jackie Chan did all his stunts, or did he kind of, was that fabricated? Because that, for me, they say he did all his own stunts.
He did almost all of them.
Yeah.
When he got older, there were a few times where he had a couple doubles to a few things. But look, let's just put it this way: he's legit.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But it's not possible for an actor to do all their own stunts unless they don't work very much, and then they could be who doesn't work a lot and claim they do all their own stunts, and then they can, but whatever. But like even Tom Cruise does not do all of his own stunts. And the reason it's not possible is because when you're shooting a movie, they often have two units shooting at the same time.
Gotcha.
And so, number one, on the call sheet can't be in both places at the same time. So even when he's doing stunts on one unit and they have something on the other unit, there's somebody there to double him as well. So sorry I burst your bubble, buddy, but it's not like anybody didn't already know.
Yeah.
But when he's running down the side of the Burj Khalifa, his stunt double did it before him to make sure he wasn't going to die when they hooked him up. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, man, you got to protect their investment, man. So that's just, it's definitely there, man. So again, the cars, Hollywood, stuff like that, man. Of course, you knew about the sports a little bit. So like, you play baseball. Are you still active in sports currently, or do you do any martial arts or anything to stay in shape? What do you do? What do you do daily for?
I chase my son.
Yeah. That's Yeah,
he's 3.5, and he's the most amount of work I've ever had in my life, and he's the greatest kid ever, and I love him.
Man.
So that's what I do, and I try to be a good husband and a good father, and I hustle for as much work as I can, so I can take care of everything, and then when I have a moment, I drive this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I love the channel, man. It's one of those things where I tell guys all the time. I've been doing YouTube since 2006, and when I first started it was like game stuff, and then like random street stuff, and then I pull all that stuff down because I didn't want to be 10 years later a cop come out there, because I'll be honest, man, we started my first 8 years of cars was street racing, and that's all we did. And then one day at the street meet, I'm like, dude, this is a waste of time. One of my guys unfortunately died from a high-speed accident, and I got into drifting, and I kind of got into track stuff around 2007, and I haven't looked back since. And now I'm a pro driver, pro drifter, pro racer here in Japan. So it could definitely change for guys out there, man. But for you, doing your YouTube, man, I like your style, your enthusiasm. You're new to YouTube or doing the stuff, man, but your channel is better than a lot of content out there because it's the style, and a lot of guys don't understand, man. It takes a lot of, you got the angles, you're incorporating all the stuff that you're around daily into YouTube, which sets your channel apart immediately, man.
Thank you.
I definitely enjoy watching it. I share it around and things like that, man, and also the way you gain subscribers and things like that, man. It's going out there and taking them, versus a lot of guys out there, they sit back and they wait for it to come in, and they want, like, nah, man, you have to show that you're different than 10 million other YouTube just whatever content creators, because it's drawn a line, man. So I see your channel at 2 million, 3 million subs in no time, man. So definitely awesome on that.
I hope so. I got a long way to go to get there.
Yeah.
Well, listen, if you want to sit back and wait for something to come to you, you're going to wait forever, because it's not going to come. There's something that you want, you got to go out, you got to grab it, you got to get it. And the fortunate thing is I actually really enjoy interacting with the people who watch my stuff. If you leave a comment on one of my videos, I will respond. I always do.
Yeah.
And I you know, unless you say something that's completely inappropriate or ridiculous, I'll engage back and correspond with you. I don't do this for the money. I don't make any money doing this. The channel's not monetized. Sure, it'd be nice to, but I'd love to make some money doing this just because it would all go right back into the car because it's not cheap owning a classic car. But I do it because it's fun. I do it because I love doing it. And I do it because I want to make memories. And I'm telling you, when you get out there with a complete stranger, you know, I vet whoever I drive with on the phone before I go out there with them, because I have to make sure whoever I'm driving with is going to listen to me, and you know, otherwise it's going to be a mess.
Right.
But when you get out there with someone for the first time, and they're looking at me and they're like, they're nervous and they don't know what to expect, and then you do the first 2 runs, and then you pull over. Next thing you know, they get out of the car. You get out of the car. It's like you've been best buddies for years, and it's like. Immediately, boom, just like that, you've got a new lifelong friend because of an experience that you shared.
Yeah.
I say that with a number of the people I've done videos with. I can say that about Greg, who has the 1969 Mustang Boss 302, which is an incredibly rare car. They made like 1,400 of those. I can say that about Juan, who has a 1970 Chevelle, who's an amazing builder. Both of these guys, I met them, didn't really talk much when I first met them, other than the fact, oh, you got this cool car, great, let's talk, maybe we can make a video together. And then, because I wanted to save all of like the interaction to be natural and organic for when we met. So I tried not to talk too much to them in advance. And again, they're like, what are we going to do? I'm like, this, and here's what we're going to do. You're going to pull up alongside me. We're going to get 20 miles an hour. I'm going to give you 3, 2, 1, go. And bam, we take off. And this thing, you know, we're having an amazing time. Pull over. Let's talk about your car. And everyone's just jacked.
Yeah.
So it's an amazing experience. And you know, one that I don't really talk about that much, but I'm really lucky to have done was make one of these videos with my dad.
Yeah. I've seen that one. Yeah.
That was actually kind of stressful because working with family is not the easiest thing to do. And my dad does not like to take direction from anybody else, let alone me.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, I'm really lucky to have made that memory and have something like that I'll always have, where I drag race my dad.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he was pretty chilled, man. Like I could tell he wanted to see more and everything, but he was pretty it was pretty cool to watch, man, and interact with, you know, your parents. And even like I say, you have a son. I have 5 kids here in Japan, and you know, I got him you know, dirt bikes and karts, and to have my shop here and be able to you know, I have all the cars. I work on predominantly Japanese cars here. So, you know, to have the car, they have a little die cast, you know, the RX-7 or whatever, Skyline or whatever. And I have like 5 Skylines here and 7 RX-7s. And, you know, the customers, hey, man, they can get in the car and everything. And to be a kid and be able to actually touch it feels good to be able to do that, man. And I know it's the same for your son, and also to be able to interact with your parent. Unfortunately, man, my dad, I didn't come from a car family, man. I actually got into cars by Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo 1 was my introduction to cars. And then I was like, dude, why does this Skyline cost so much more than this car? And I realized there was a reason why. And that was my introduction, 97, 96. And 99 is when I found my first group of car guys. And it's just been, you know, it's been fun since, man. So I have
a great appreciation for the JDM. I haven't raced but one of them, but what I have to say about that is the one JDM that I made a racing video with is really the video that set this whole thing in motion. We did a drift car versus drag car. That was versus a 2006 Nissan 350Z. I was racing one of my best friends, Danny Bopp, who's a stunt driver. He was a stock car racer for 20 years before he became a stunt driver, and for the last 10. And he's got his drift car set up with a hydraulic e-brake, and it's been almost a year since we shot that video. And that was where we were like, okay, we're on to something here. After we did that, we raced 7 or 8 times. He drifted the car around. He told me a great story about working on set, and I'm like, this just feels like we're making something that's really, and the reason why is because it was a day of nonstop fun. So
man, it's as a content creator, man, it's you go out there and you film things and it gets mundane. And I know you've been, even with the Hollywood stuff, some days it's like, here we go again. But sometimes when you're shooting, man, it just, you know, before you edit, this is going to be a good one. And
totally.
it just, that one video is crazy. You just keep shooting and shooting and shooting, and out of 20 videos you get one hit. And I just got one recently where I did a drift car with motocross. I just got into dirt bike 7 months ago, and I got in full bore. So I got, you know, Kawasaki's and Suzuki's and all this stuff, and I shot a video trying to drift a car with motocross gear on the boots and everything. It was hard to do, but it just sparked some, like, dude, drifting a car with motocross gear, who would do that? And I did it, and it just kind of 800 subscribers in like 1 week. And
wow,
you know, before that, man, I was, YouTube is kind of, and that's why I like your channel, because your channel is new and it's blowing up. So that's how I know it's not really YouTube fully. It's the content, and YouTube wants to push out the best stuff. Your thumbnails are good, your introductions are good, the color grading is good, the audio is good, and they see that and they're like, all right, good column, and they put your videos there, and everything else kind of like this falls to the, you know, to the side. And unfortunately, guys there who want to do YouTube, you got to come correct, because the competition is fierce, and YouTube is not gonna, for the guys who are monetizing, they're not gonna give money away to subpar products. And that's why, you know, I like your channel, man. Again, your style, and again, man, you know, time is of the essence, man. So I don't want to keep it too long, man. Finally, one thing I do want to ask you, man, is for you, because I played Division I football for 1 year at University of Maryland, and I was right there next to the pros, and you know all that stuff, man. So for you, because I'm interested in this, man. How was your transition from the NCAA baseball into getting into professional baseball for your stint?
Oh, it was like everything in my life.
Yeah.
Not easy.
Yeah.
If you want something bad enough, you're gonna fight until you get it. And I had a let's just say I did not have an easy road, but I had a goal, a mission, and I wasn't going to stop until I got it and checked that box.
Right.
So I'll stand by 1 second.
No problem.
Hi, how are you? Hi. You can just leave it right there. Thanks. UPS, cool. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Oh, man.
We're long distance to Japan right now.
Yeah.
So UPS right there.
Nice car parts, man.
Yeah, right. Not that one.
Oh,
The
yeah.
car parts are behind it. They're hidden.
Got you.
Yeah. In fact, I might do put some traction bars on the car this coming week, which would be good. The 67 has huge wheel hop, and it was corrected in 68 when they scattered the shocks. But when you do your launch, if you want to drop the clutch and take off fast,
right,
the wheels just bounce.
Yeah, I got you.
And so you can really see that in a couple of the videos. The one video where I did first gen Camaro versus second gen Camaro, that wheel is hopping. And there's actually a new video that's going to come out today.
Awesome.
A racing video. It's just a video where I'm riding around with another stuntman, and he tells a story about how he got hit by a car on Lethal Weapon 4, not intentionally, which is pretty wild. And then at the end, he does a little burnout, and you can see the wheel just bounce it. I'm like, yeah, we're not doing that again until we get traction.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's crazy, man. But yeah, like you said, man, it's awesome to be able to talk to you, and that's one of those things there, man. I didn't dream of ever, living in Japan for now 14 years, going to 15 years, and I'm the only American in all of Japan with a performance shop, the only guy. So I'm like representing America. I do it well, quality. I actually have a Caprice coming in next week to be graded again for a LS7 swap, and this is in Japan. So I don't. For me, I just happen to be by default working on Japanese cars. But for me, if it has nuts and bolts and it's not proprietary like a Ferrari or something like that with a special specific torque wrench or socket, I can work on it, man. So I work on anything that goes fast. That's what I do.
It's interesting you say that.
Yeah.
So when Annie and I were looking at Annie, my wife, who you can see in the video, she's in the video versus the Dodge Charger. I'm not sure if you've seen that one yet, but she's in that video with me, and then she does a little driving in it too. When she was saying we should get a classic car, at first we were looking at a classic Ferrari, like from like the 90s.
Oh yeah.
And the price on those was just a little bit more than the Camaro. And we were strongly considering it, but to do maintenance on that, you got to get parts sent from Italy, and then you got to take it to a special guy to do it. And when we looked at, let's look at American car, right? And I have never done any car work in my life. And when we bought this car, I had to learn how to become my own mechanic to start with, at least.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to do that with a Ferrari. And I'm actually really happy about that choice that we made, because I love getting under this car.
Yeah.
I love putting up on the jack and learning about what all the parts do and looking. And I mean, I didn't know what a drivetrain was, and I didn't know how to fix a shifter, and and now I don't have a choice. I have to.
Yeah.
So, with the Camaro forums and with YouTube and Google, I do as much as I possibly can. And this is my first stick shift car that I've ever owned.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Like, you got right into the deep end, man. That's it's awesome time, man. Like you mentioned, YouTube, Google, and you're an older guy, man, and you find those resources. A lot of the young guys, man, they kind of they come. I don't really do a lot of advising, because when I first opened my shop, I did to try to help guys and get customers in, and then what I noticed, they didn't come back because I gave them too much. I gave them too much advice or too much know-how, or they just kind of like, I'll say something a little bit and then vaguely, and then they'll go and try to perform it, and then say, "Oh, Pinku style said." I'm like, "Nah, dude. When you do your clutch, you got to have brand new flywheel bolts and all that good stuff." Blah blah blah. So I tend to stay away from advising now, and I just give posts. After the work's done, I'll break down, hey, this is what I found, this is what I did, and it works well that way. But yeah, man, it's awesome that you got into it, and that shows right there, man. You can pretty much do
one correction, okay?
Yep, go ahead.
I'm not that old.
Yeah, man, we're older. You're not 21, man. So it's yeah.
I'm in my 30s. Let's put it there, okay?
Cool.
Yeah, I feel like I'm 15, but I'm in my 30s.
Yeah. It's same here, man. Being 38 and doing jiu-jitsu, and now I got into motocross, and I'm like, I'm pretty healthy, man. And I just started jumping. I had a RMZ 450 Suzuki, and I'm like, man, now it's some days that you kind of feel a little older after jumping, and my knees are like, I'm like, damn, dude, that hurts. It reminds me of football and wrestling. I do jiu-jitsu and judo, so I mean, I'm always active, man. I don't lift weights anymore. Actually, I haven't lifted.
The best way to feel young is get behind the wheel and throw back some gears.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, man. That's what makes everything go away for me.
Yeah. The drives and the So your son, man. Speaking on that, like, does he like driving in the car and being around the car?
He likes trucks.
Got you.
He likes. I actually have the camera right now on a tripod on the truck wheel.
Got you.
So it's lifted. We have 3 trucks. We have 2 classic Chevy Blazers, and then we have a modern Silverado. And then we technically have 3 classics between the 2 Blazers and the one. And so, yeah, he likes being up high versus that's going to change. When he gets
By 2 weeks from now, he'll be in a dinosaurs. Like, my oldest is 5, and it was cars, and it was dinosaurs for 2 weeks, and it was back to cars, and it just kind of goes back and forth, man. So as kids, I've been married for 5 years, going on 6 now, and 10 years ago, I was never having a family. I was never having kids. And then now I got 5. I got my last set was twins, and we're done, man. So yeah, it's
how do you do it? How do you do 5 kids?
Yeah.
A wife, a relationship, a father, and you do all this and the podcast. How do you do it? Do you sleep?
No, I don't sleep much. And to be honest, not to get I'm a Iraq. I spent 3 years in Iraq, and I PTSD from I did IEDs and all that stuff. I did. I was my job in Air Force was vehicle ops, which is pretty much driving anything with wheels. And our job in Iraq was driving tractor trailers from Kuwait all the way up to pretty much North Iraq. And in between there, you get shot at, you get hit by IEDs, all that stuff happens. So for me, man, sitting on a highway, pitch black, dark, knowing people looking at us and, describing things to, security forces or whatever, I was like, man, once I got back from Iraq, my last tour in 2011 was the day before the earthquake in Japan. It's like, once I've been through that, man, and being from Baltimore, where I'm from, there's not much in life, man, that I don't feel like I can accomplish, and I haven't. And after being through that stuff, I guess everything becomes easy, man. And the hardest thing for me was go ahead, man.
Well, I was just gonna say you went through the ringer right there, so I could see how everything would be easier after that.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely, man. My wife, she's Japanese, and only time we kind of get into it, to be honest, is I'm like, hey, man, it's not a big deal. Spilled milk, literally, she kind of freaks out when milk spills. I'm like, dude, just get a towel, clean it up, and let's proceed. And that's my way. That's my way of getting over things.
Is it hard being a gaijin in Japan?
It's one thing I will say in Japan. It's not, the gaijin. It doesn't matter your race, Indian, black, white, Puerto Rican. You're a gaijin. So they kind of group all of us under that. They just know the difference between American, European, and somebody from Brazil. But they kind of group us all there. So you kind of like you're kind of not guilty until proven innocent type of thing. So like until you kind of display that you're a good driver, you're a good mechanic, they kind of think that we're all hacks and things like that. And I'm working diligently to change that. And the biggest thing is I don't use a lot of Japanese parts. I use a lot of American made, New Zealand made, Australian made parts because my goal and my angle and the reason why my shop is more known in 5 years than shops that have been open 30 years, I'm bringing in parts that are strong, that are more cheaper and more effective than the parts that they're selling because they for years had the lock on the game, HKS, Tomei, companies like that, and now they refuse to come down. So their parts are, for a set of pistons, $2,000 where I can get a set of CP pistons for like, $1,800 or cheaper. And
where are you getting your parts from? Who are your main sources?
I'm a dealer. I work with Turn 14, which links me to about 80 different companies, CP, Pistons, all the guys in the States. So pretty much all over. So I get parts from Virginia to here in 4 days, and vice versa. I could put an engine from my shop to your doorstep in 5 days. So export is my performance is number one. Export is like number two as far as priority. Parts is like number three because I don't make much money off of it, but exporting, I've done about 350 cars since 2018, so I export a lot of cars. So a lot of the cars you see in California, I've done at least 50 Skylines there, man. So it's it's pretty cool. And you see the car on Instagram, see them at the car meets, and a lot of engine builds, and that's what I do, man. Racing stuff is what I do. Most of the customers, they just want maintenance, but I can build a car from scratch, ground up, chassis up, and modifying. Engine swaps is big, V8s and things like that is what I do. So yeah, man, I'm leaning into it, leaning into being the only American here, and definitely, man, I'm setting the bar for the guys that never met Americans because my work is good. I don't take BS, man. I fire customers all the time because we got to do it correctly or not at all. And that's the one thing, man. Again, cars like
your work is your legacy.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I don't allow it, man. Like we got, I mentioned the clutch thing. Some guys like, I just want to do the clutch disc. I'm like, dude, I know when I pull this thing down, this car is 35 years old. There's going to be cracks in the flywheel. Your bolts are original. Your rear main seal is original. We got to swap all that stuff out because I give you a 3-month warranty and I can't have that rear seal leaking onto my new clutch. And, everything has to be spotless, man. So again, brother, man, like if you ever get a chance to come to Japan or come over here, man, definitely we could do it. We can get a Camaro over here because there are Camaros here, man, by the way.
Are they?
Yeah, everything that's there. I just got a LS 5.3 from a Suburban last week for about $1,600, and 5.3 in the States you can pay $300 for. Everything is here. It's more expensive, so a lot of the cars never get registered because like your Camaro can come over, but it would take about $5 to $7 grand to get that car road registered. You got to change things. You got to emissions, you got to do different things. So that Camaro behind you would roughly cost about at least $200K here, easily.
$200K?
Yes, sir. I'm not BSing you, man.
My God, is there a market for that there? Not that I'm selling it. I'm never selling it. I don't ever want to sell it.
In my town here in Misawa, we're so to put in a geospec, I'm 8 hours north of Tokyo, because everybody thinks So I'm up there. I drive down there a bunch. So in this community, there's like the guys do donks, the Florida guys, the lifted Caprices and all that stuff with the big wheels on it, which I don't care for. They got hydraulics, they got Model Ts, they got rat rods, all here in this town. So you'll see Model T Fords in a convoy going down the road on a Sunday morning, and they got Ferraris. Japanese are into it. They do, and they honestly, it sucks when they get the American cars, man. They do the American car better than the average American, as far as meticulous. The time correct. They don't like replica parts. They'll wait 6 years to get a starter. For example, I'm working with one guy who has a GMC 60 something truck. And it looks badass. And his cars were sitting 2 years for a starter. I'm like, dude, just give it to me. I'll send it off and get it overhauled and sent back to me and everything, because he can't find a starter for it. And yeah, man, the American car thing. In short, man, I don't want to talk too much about it. The American car thing is really big here. A lot of Camaros, a lot of Corvettes. I'd seen a Grand National last week, and I definitely want a GNX. That's one of the ones I want, man. The Grand National.
Who doesn't?
Dude, that car was the top car when I was coming up, and this guy had two of them, and we would bring them on trailers. I'm like, dude, anytime a car is coming on a trailer to street race, that car is fast. And
the GNX is like maybe the baddest car of all time.
The sound, V6 being it's not popular, but that turbo and it's a great car, man. So other than
I get it. There's the stigma. Oh, it's a V6, but there are V6s that'll destroy cars that are way bigger. It's not necessarily about how many cylinders you have. It's about how well your cylinders and your parts are working together.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Ford, and I'm not gonna say anything bad about Ford. They make great cars. It's just not me. But there was the Ford GT, the GT. It has a V6 and it won Le Mans.
Right.
So your average V6 is not going to win Le Mans, but there's nothing wrong with a V6.
Yeah.
It's about how well the car parts come together, to work, as a unit. So I get that. I think it's really cool that there's an American car scene in Japan.
Oh, man, it's huge.
One day when I get to go back there, I would love to see that.
So you've been. I shouldn't assume that you've been here before, Japan, or?
I spent a week in Osaka.
Okay. Yeah. I was just there last week, man. I was picking up some dirt bikes and cars and stuff, man. So Osaka's about 12 hours south from where I'm at, man. So, but yeah, man, it's definitely cool, man. And one thing, I got my final question. I got so many. We could definitely talk again. The game, not game. I want to say game shows. They're not game shows, but reality shows. I had two of my guys were in the a Discovery show that just came out recently, and the Getaway Driver, and they told me about the behind the scenes stuff, and again, the guys who were driving against them were all stunt drivers, so they were like the pursuers, and they were like really good drivers and things like that. And
I probably know them.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So
if you told me their names, I'd probably tell you I know them, or I know of them, or I've worked with them.
I didn't check the credits. I think they kept their names secret, but I think they might be in the credits. I didn't look at the credits because the show was cool.
Usually stuntmen are not credited in television.
Got you.
It's per union rules and union contracts, they don't have to credit stunts for television. For features, they're required to credit the first 50 cast members.
Okay.
And then they don't have to credit anybody after that. Stunts are considered cast, so there'll be movies where there's 300 stuntmen that have worked on it, and they credit 10.
Got you.
You can't go by the credits to know who's actually worked on it.
They didn't mention any of those. They just were like there, and you could tell they were good drivers. The pit maneuvers and the reverse 180s and things. You could tell they're polished, and they also knew the compound inside out. So the contestants were blind. They couldn't see the compound. They did a walk right. They did a golf cart walk right before that to let them see it. But other than that, they got in their cars. They strapped down. They kept it really organic. So no phones. They couldn't have their cell phones out. It was really tight-lipped. And, my guy for about 5 or 6 weeks was on a podcast, and he kind of, as the weeks went along, he was like, all right, you can start talking about it. And then when it came out, all right, full-blown media packets and get it out there. So I never done anything like that before. And it seemed like, man, they're looking on Instagram, and my Instagram is looking pretty good. So I might appear on one of these shows at some point. So.
I hope you do.
Yeah,
you got to let me know if you do, because I do want to see that.
Definitely, man.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. So it's cool to see a lot of the Netflix Discovery and all those shows. And I try to get with a guy to try to pitch to Netflix, like, hey, man, I'm a dude in Japan, and I'm doing stuff and building cars. Only guy here, and we're still working on it. I don't know how it's gonna go, but it's a try, and we'll see what happens from there, man. So hopefully it works out, and I can show
that does work out.
Yeah, show you. But I do know that with those shows, the shops, I spoke to a couple of guys. He's like, dude, that's all out of pocket, man. You don't really, you get the publicity, but all those builds and things like that, they're not really supplementing that. So you can't tank.
Oh, hell no. They don't want to pay for that.
Yeah, they can't tank. You can't tank your shop. Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of those shops and shows, they end up going under because they spend so much money on these projects, and it doesn't really yield, the stuff back. And also when a customer can see that you're bargaining online, you're bargaining on a show, they're going to assume that you're going to do the same thing to them. You're going to buy it for $5,000, put $30K into it, and ask for $80K. It's kind of hard to push that, man. So, but again, man, hey brother, you asked for a certain amount of time, man. I don't want to go over, and I want to value your time.
Before I bounce, let me just give you a couple. I just want to put this out there for people who haven't seen what I've done, and share a few things. So, I'm putting stuff on the channel on a regular basis, and that's basically so that I can get YouTube to continue to push the stuff that I make. Yeah. But what I'm really trying to do, and what it's really all about, is what I call the racing series, where I have, so far I've got 10 videos that are completed that, in my opinion, are high quality, well put together videos. I shoot everything in 4K at 60 frames per second. It's all color corrected. I try to get really good audio, and let's see. So videos that I have made, I race. It's this 67 Camaro versus the first one I made was versus a 50th anniversary Corvette that got everything in motion. Then I did a couple where I was just driving around with a couple other stunt guys and showing off the car. One of those is actually about to come out tonight.
Awesome.
That was one of my very first ones I did. After I started making racing videos, it felt weird to just all of a sudden put that out. But I'm trying to spread the content out a little bit. So there's 3. And then I did drift car versus drag car versus the Z. And then after that, I did drag racing my dad, where we talk about Knight Rider, because my dad was the stunt coordinator on Knight Rider. Okay. In that video, we talk about how he jumped the kit car through an airplane, and we show it, and then we race. He's just driving my daily driver, which is a Beamer, and we take the cars out, we race. And then I raced the '69 Mustang Boss 302, hell of a car. And then after that, we did versus a 1970 Chevelle, where Juan brought his daughter out, and the cops showed up. And if you haven't seen it, well, you got to see it to see what happens when the cops show up. And then we did first gen Camaro versus second gen Camaro, which we raced a 1973 Camaro with a 383 stroker with an automatic transmission versus my big block 67 with the manual 4-speed. And then we did versus a 1970 Charger, which is the same car in Fast and Furious. It is the Dominic Toretto car. He's got the 70 Charger. In the movie, they say he's got some monster engine, but in real life, the car that he actually drove only had like 360 cubic inch engine or something. So the car we actually drove, race, was actually a bigger engine. And well, that was an interesting way that one ended. And if you haven't seen it yet, got to go watch that one, because that one certainly did not end the way I was expecting. Yeah. And now there's one more that I'm finishing up right now that should be coming out in just a few weeks, where we race a 67 GTO. So it'll be 1967 Camaro versus 1967 GTO, and it's the first video now I have where I'm putting 2 67 cars with 400 cubic inch engines head to head. I'm excited for that one. Yeah. And I'm just basically excited when anybody watches any of this stuff and leaves a comment. It makes me just want to keep making more of them. The whole point is fun. Fun is the only option. When it stops being fun, I'm going to stop doing it. And all I really want to do is tell stories. The stories end up telling themselves. The footage ends up basically being so obvious on what pieces to edit together, and it edits itself. I just am the one who hits the button. Yeah. And really what I'm truly trying to do is spread joy, because it brings me joy, and I want to let other people feel what it's like to have that joy, and I want to be able to reach out and connect with people doing this.
Awesome, man. The one I'm looking forward to most, man, because I know it's going to happen, man, is when you're linking up with Jay Leno or somebody like that. Because Jay got all those cars, man, and it seemed like once you start doing cool car stuff, it's like Jay Leno is like, who can I link up with next and do cool some little segment with or whatever, man. So that'd be definitely cool. And also, man, the reliability, because one thing you stated a lot of events, but as far as the reliability, man, have you had any issues with the car and any maintenance and any bearings going bad? And how's maintenance been how the car's been holding up great, because you got a lot of episodes. So how's it?
Well, let's knock on wood here.
Yeah. I got some here, man.
So, the Muncie 4-speed shifter, those are notorious for locking up.
Gotcha.
And now this is not technically a race car. This car is built to be a driver car. It's meant to be driven. It's not built to be on the track or on the drag strip, but I race it in these videos. And when you are shifting that 4-speed with the old Muncies, if you don't shift it just right, it will lock up in between second and third gear. And then you'll have to just ride home in second gear, lift the car up, get underneath it, and pop the rod, the shifter rod underneath the car free back into neutral. That's happened a few times. So when I do drive this car hard, people often give me a really hard time about how I'm a lousy shifter. But really what I'm just trying to do is not have my shifter lock up. So I take that 2-3 shift, fairly precise. But again, I'm not out there trying to kick your ass when I'm racing you. I'm out there to try and have memories, because people go, well, you got smoked. Well, I mean, you lost. And I'm like, dude, I won, because look what we're doing.
You got classics racing. Classic.
It's not about putting a trophy on my mantle. I could give a crap about that. It's about getting 2 pieces of classic machinery, naturally aspirated engine, 4-speed cars, big block Camaro versus whatever you want to bring to the table. Let's push them. Let's feel what it was like to go back in time, and let's have memories that we'll never forget. That's what this is about. That's how you win. I don't care who wins or loses. I don't care that in some of the videos I got beat. I don't care if I beat you. I really don't care about that. All I care about is let's have fun. And that to me is the win.
Awesome, man. And again, the guys out there who watch and listen, they could definitely find Steve on Instagram, Steve_Bralver. And for the YouTube, is going to be 1967 Camaro versus the World. And it's easy to find, man. As soon as you put 1967 and then the algorithm, again, as soon as I typed it in this morning to check it, for your videos pop up, man. So again, it's great to see that on YouTube. Again, your algorithm is doing well. It's early in the morning, man. Sorry.
If you type in 1967 Camaro versus, it will help you find the videos. There's
everything
a lot
pop
of content that I'm competing with. It's been out there for a while. And here I want to show you that how I do like to really interact with the people who leave comments and who reach out to me. 1967 Camaro versus the World is now the title of the channel. And that was created by one of the people who is a subscriber and a viewer and a follower of the content who I've never met. Shout out to Kenneth, who's Polar Bear on Instagram. Thank you for coming up with the greatest title possible that perfectly encapsulates everything we're doing here. And I just want to show that if you care to be a part of enjoying what it is that we're making here, leave a comment, interact. I'll interact right back with you. And that's just to show that, like, I love the people who subscribe to and are engaged in this sort of stuff with me, because I can tell that they're just as passionate about it as I am. And I'm thankful for the people who watch this stuff. I appreciate you. And I'm not just saying that, like, I sincerely do. It has enhanced my life in a way that I didn't expect. And I'm grateful that I'm able to share this joy with other people.
Without a doubt, brother. Without a doubt, man. Again, I'm pretty sure, speaking of one of those people who subscribe to you and follow on Instagram, man, it's definitely is refreshing to see, because, again, you mentioned earlier that the channel's not monetized, and you could easily monetize the channel. And it shows that you're not into it, because you see the channels out there that are into it for the cash only, and they kind of lackadaisical and not really there, man. And again, your attitude is always great. And it shows that you care about the view, and it's one of those things where even if the numbers are not astronomically high, the core people that you have, it's going to be great people. So when you organize like a car meet, that'll go awesome, man. Everybody will show up and they'll be happy and things like that, man. So I just think it's, I don't want to sound like a YouTube big dog, because I'm not, but I've been doing it for a while, and it's a game you got to play, and the way you word the words and the hashtags now and the short videos now. It's all the tools. The tools are out there for YouTube to succeed, but me being a content creator, I didn't utilize them. And also, when you contacted me, I started doing the same thing and just linking up with guys and kind of like, oh, this guy don't want to talk to me, and just, hey man, shoot the email out, and maybe they'll respond back, or maybe not. So again, man, thanks for the time, man. Thanks for the talk, and also, man, thanks for just being a guy in this day and age, which is hard to find. And I consider myself a man of my word, and I look guys in the eyes, I shake their hand and things like that, even amongst all the technology. And you got back to me, hey man, are you ready to shoot? We could do it now. And you were like, it was exactly roughly 2.5 to 3 months to the time you said, hey man, I'm gonna be busy. I got this and this lined up, and again, man, major thanks for that.
I'm not going to BS you. If you reach out to me or you interact with me, and as long as you're polite and you're kind and you're not inappropriate, I'll respond to you and I'll tell you the truth, and I'll honor my word. I always do.
Yeah, and give me a shout out. Give me a shout out there. That was cool, and
it's fun.
Yeah, man, it's awesome, bro. So I look, this is definitely not the last time, man. This is the first time. We could definitely do this again for a little bit down the road, and you got some special projects. And when I'm all to end out on my part, I'll actually be coming to America to compete in Formula Drift. So it's actually more lucrative to drive in America than it is Japan, believe it or not.
When are you doing that, and where will that be?
First, I'll be 2000. It was supposed to be last year, but of course, COVID, whatever. So next year, I'm going to be organize some cars in Georgia. I'll have one car in California, Richmond, California. I'm gonna have a car on two coasts. That way, I can kind of fly in and get to it, and kind of move to Texas if I need to. So I'll be doing Pro-Am first, which is you have to do Pro-Am to get your license, and then after a year of that, then I'll do the FD stuff. I got Pro license now, but they've been inactive for 5 years, so you got to start over. You can't just come in with some expired license. So once it'll be announced, man. And if I'm near your area, man, I'll definitely, hey man, I'll be there. I know you'll probably be out of pocket, but that's the plan. So we could definitely meet, man. I'll definitely look forward to doing that, and much more content to be had. And again, man, like you said, brother, you got these old cars, and you got them in 4K, and that's the big thing. There was no video of this quality other than Hollywood back then,
Thanks.
So now you got these classic 1960. All these cars had a story before you bought them, and that's the one thing when I buy a car, man. I get in.
The story's not done yet.
Yeah, it's not done, man.
You
get in the car.
Donald, thank you.
Yeah, man.
So much for having me be a part of this. I feel grateful that you wanted to include me, and super cool.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, man. Hey, thank you, and have a great day, and keep making those videos, man. I'll be watching tonight, and also this will be up. This will be up today because I blocked out time. So this will be out actually today, Japan time, maybe a little bit later your time and everything, man. So again, thank you again. Again, guys, there, be sure to go over to Instagram, Steve Bralver, Steve_Bralver. Check that out, Bralver. And then also for YouTube, 1967, Camaro versus the World. And I'll put that down on a link so you guys can click on it. The lazy guys there who like to type, click on it and go right to it and check out the content. So again, Steve, thank you for your time. Have a nice day. And this will be Donnie signing off from Asawa, Japan, Pinku style, and it'll be Steve signing off from California. So see you guys later. Peace.
Right on. See ya.